Tonight, pressure building on the campaign trail as leaders make their pitch to voters.
Issues that are big in the minds of Canadians are not those same issues, and you've got to adjust.
Mounting questions over a call to shift strategy.
My vision is to stand up for the same things I've been saying for 10 years.
Plus, the other party promises on day 7.
I hope to have the honor of representing you in Ottawa.
We would impose an emergency cap on food prices to stop them from ripping you off.
Tens of thousands in the dark as a devastating ice storm pummels parts of Ontario.
We've got a lot of tree failures already. We've got some snapped hydro poles.
Where the freezing rain is heading next. Also, why outsourcing surgeries in Alberta is leading to higher costs and longer wait times.
Just so painful.
And social media saviors.
Online store has gone up 6,000%.
How a plea for help online changed the future of one small Canadian business in a way it never expected.
CTV National News with Heather Butts.
Good evening. The high cost of living dominating the federal election campaign trail, with promises focused on affordability as the first week draws to a close. Today, Pierre Poilievre offered more tax write-offs for trades workers. But some strategists wonder if the Conservatives' approach needs to shift. CTV's Abigail Beeman starts off our coverage on day 7 of the campaign.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is in Winnipeg, focused on tax breaks for trades workers who travel and an end to luxury jet write-offs.
A luxurious jet is a personal indulgence that should not be subsidized by the tax system.
What we are hearing about is the Winnipeg jets.
Liberal candidate Ben Carr says when he's out door knocking, no one is talking about luxury jets.
The most important issue, without doubt, is the existential threat that Canada is facing. The threat that we're facing by virtue of a changing world, and particularly by provocations we're seeing come from the American administration.
We will obviously retaliate against unfair American tariffs and work to eliminate them. But what we really need to do is reverse the weakness caused by the lost Liberal decade.
Saturday, Poilievre only mentioned President Donald Trump briefly when asked by a reporter whether the party would shift strategies to focus more on tariffs. Poilievre wouldn't comment on a shift, but doubled down.
These are the things that we've been saying for the last 10 years.
The issues that are big in the minds of Canadians are not those same issues, and you've got to adjust.
Poilievre has not made the trade war a focus, and criticism from Conservatives calling for a campaign pivot is mounting. Several Conservative staffers tell CTV News there's tension with campaign management, one going as far as saying the wheels are off the bus.
The party chose to essentially manipulate the system.
Meanwhile, Mike DeYoung was a provincial politician in BC for decades, now running as an independent and speaking out after he says the Conservative Party rejected his nomination.
It's clearly been a terrible first week. Some of the harm simply will not be undone when you anger and frustrate and traditional supporters, longtime supporters.
The party isn't commenting on what happened in his case, while both here on the ground in Winnipeg and in the war room in Ottawa, campaign sources reject claims of disorganization, telling CTV News don't expect a big pivot because they see no reason to. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Winnipeg.
The campaign trail taking the Liberal leader to the Ottawa area. After 7 days of pitching the Liberal plan to Canadians, Mark Carney spent today pitching himself to voters in the riding of Nepean. Carney is making history as the first Prime Minister to not hold a seat in the House of Commons. CTV's Colton Prale shows you how the battle to earn that coveted spot is shaping up.
Who's ready to stand up for me, help me to get elected here in Nepean?
After a week on the campaign trail crossing the country, Mark Carney is officially launching his own race.
I hope to have the honor of representing you in Ottawa at this crucial time for Nepean, for Ottawa, for Ontario,
for Canada.
It's the first time Carney is contesting a seat in Parliament or any level of elected government. But supporters and volunteers say his political inexperience hasn't slowed him down.
His reputation was spreading very positively, so it was a good start for him.
The Liberal leader is running for a seat the party has held since 2015 under former Liberal MP Chandra Arya. Arya was banned from running under the Liberal banner just days before the race began over a trip he took to India in 2024, during which he met with top Indian officials.
We were waiting for somebody else to come, a Liberal to place somebody else there, and now having Mark Carney, oh wow.
As the Liberal leader goes head-to-head with Pierre Poilievre, they're also geographically face-to-face, squaring off in ridings which share a border. But unlike Poilievre, Carney hasn't lived in his riding, though that's something pollsters say is unlikely to be a major hurdle.
I think it probably is an easier sell to people and fights that carpetbagger, mentality that he's not from here and therefore, he doesn't know our community. Mark Carney's lived in Ottawa many years.
While the Nepean seat is typically a safe one for the Liberals, it was also one that was under threat of flipping when the Conservatives were surging in the polls at the start of the year. Pollsters say that's unlikely to happen now, but it can't be written out. Heather.
All right, Colton, thank you. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh also campaigning in the nation's capital, where he was focused on affordability at the grocery store, promising to cut the cost of staple items. Here's CTV's Rachel Aiello on what he's vowing to do if grocers don't comply.
Heather, today NDP leader Jagmeet Singh announced his plan to make food more affordable at a time when tariffs are impacting costs for Canadians. Speaking at a food pantry in Ottawa, Singh said the NDP would introduce an emergency price cap on basic food items. Among the products the NDP want to limit the prices of are pasta, frozen vegetables, and infant formula. Singh framed this as a way to tariff-proof Canadian food.
A lot of Canadians are worried about how much it costs them when they go to the grocery stores. With all of the threat of Donald Trump and the threats of tariffs, one of the things that's on people's minds is the fact that food is already so expensive. Will these trade wars and these tariffs mean that my food prices are going to go up even higher? And that leaves people really worried.
The NDP have also committed to enforcing a mandatory grocery code of conduct, beef up the Competition Board's watchdog powers, tax the windfall profits of major grocery realtors, and reform the Nutrition North subsidy so it's sent straight to northern consumers. This afternoon, Singh boarded his campaign plane for British Columbia. Half of the seats the NDP held before dissolution were in BC, making it a priority province for the party. Though recent polling suggests support for the New Democrats in key ridings, including Singh's, is slipping. I asked Singh this morning what his strategy is to win back BC voters. He said he intends to make it clear to them how important the choice is in this election. Heather?
CTV's Rachel Aiello in Ottawa. Tens of thousands of people in Ontario are without power tonight as an ice storm pummels parts of the province. Freezing rain and ice buildup snapping trees and knocking down hydro lines. From Alberta to Ontario's cottage country, nasty spring storms are causing havoc right across the country, and it's not over yet. CTV's Jeremy Sharon on where the wicked weather is expected to hit next.
Dealing with the damage of freezing rain, this is what much of southern Ontario woke up to today. A spring ice storm that pummeled parts of the province has left tens of thousands without power.
Just some falling trees on the road here, a couple loud thumps. Looks like they're all weighed down with ice. A lot of old trees in these neighborhoods.
Cottage country at the center of it all.
It was coming down as what you would think as a torrential rain, but it was sticking already to the vehicles and to the trees.
Rainy Weed Hour is an arborist in Trent Lakes, Ontario, already out assessing and cleaning up the damage.
We've got a lot of tree failures already. We've got some snapped hydro poles just down the road from me here. We've got snapped poles. I don't foresee the power coming back anytime soon here.
And the spring storm isn't even over yet.
The actual storm system that is still developing back near Colorado, that is going to be moving in for tomorrow and into Monday. So another round of freezing rain for those same locations in southern and eastern Ontario.
In Toronto, it's rain for now, but that could quickly turn to ice with a drop in temperature, while Ottawa is digging out from an overnight blast of snow.
I'm done with this. Never ends.
And preparing for the freezing rain still to come.
We are ready to transition to treating ice, an ice event versus a snow event when it does start.
The other side of the country wasn't spared either. Alberta is still cleaning up this weekend after fighting through a big blast of snow Friday.
Here in Ottawa, the freezing rain is expected to start early Sunday morning. The calendar says it's spring, Heather, but winter is showing us it still has a frigid grip on Canada.
Yes, and that freezing rain now eyeing Quebec and Atlantic Canada. Jeremy, thanks. The firestorm of controversy surrounding Elon Musk is growing with worldwide protests against Tesla. A crowd of demonstrators gathered today outside the Tesla showroom in Vancouver's Kitsilano neighborhood, drawing attention to their outrage over the role Musk has been playing in Donald Trump's administration. The rally, just one of several across Canada, was part of what's become known as the Tesla takedown movement. Meanwhile, more than 200 protests against Musk were held across the U.S. today as part of this global day of action. One of the issues firing up demonstrators, Musk's role in slashing U.S. government departments and firing thousands of workers. Demonstrations also took shape across Europe. The death toll in Myanmar has soared past 1,600 people in the wake of a massive earthquake that caused catastrophic destruction. International aid is flooding into the devastated Southeast Asian country as rescue crews sift through the debris in search of survivors. The 7.7 magnitude quake toppled buildings, destroyed temples, buckled roads, and caused bridges to collapse. The tremors also slamming Thailand, where at least 10 people were killed. At least 5 people have been killed in overnight Russian drone strikes targeting Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky said he expects a strong response from the West to the now near daily drone attacks on his country. To a medical mystery now, one that confounded people in New Brunswick for years. This week, the province announced it has begun analyzing data from more than 200 patients living with what it calls an undiagnosed neurological illness. The news has some patients hopeful, but still calling for extensive environmental testing. CTV's Sarah Plowman now with the pain people are dealing with.
They've been fighting for answers. To know why, 5 years ago, Sarah Nesbitt began experiencing numbness, tingling, and pain in her hip and spine. Why her partner, Melissa Hawk, suddenly suffered from seizures, carpal tunnel, and fatigue.
When these symptoms came up for me, it was really scary and shocking, obviously, but at the same time, not as surprising as it would have been had Sarah not been sick.
2 names on a growing list of patients of Dr. Alier Marrero, a New Brunswick neurologist who's claimed that more than 400 of his patients are suffering from a mystery neurological syndrome, and from which dozens have died. In 2022, the New Brunswick government concluded there was no evidence of a common illness or unknown syndrome. The number of patients grew. During an election, Premier Holt promised another investigation.
We now have completed and signed patient packages on 222 individual patients.
Enough for an analysis, says the province's Chief Medical Officer of Health, to dive into concerns about elevated levels of environmental substances found in patients.
Yes, so the 2 that were specifically raised to our attention or brought to our attention were heavy metals and pesticides.
The same day Public Health took questions from reporters, the Premier and Health Minister met with patients. These 2 are optimistic.
To finally be heard by people in the government, which was definitely not happening before.
They apologized to start the reconciliation process, which was long overdue.
But words aren't enough. They want a thorough probe, an environmental investigation to get to the bottom of the medical mystery.
If we're looking at environmental toxins, we need to look at the environments, not just paperwork.
The results of this analysis will be sent to the Public Health Agency of Canada for review. Those results, along with any next steps, will be published in a report and shared with the public by late summer. Sarah Plowman, CTV News.
Coming up, the lowdown on the high cost of living.
You're going to pay more for furniture, clothing, food, and everything, and it's just ridiculous, that's all.
As prices rise, so do voter concerns. Plus, how the Buy Canadian movement saved a family business. As part of our election coverage, we're zeroing in on some of the specific issues facing voters, and one that is top of mind, inflation. While it was thought to be under control, threats of a wider tariff war has experts worried prices could surge again. CTV's John Venevali-Rao with the concern and promises being made by the politicians.
In recent years, it's where Canadians have most felt the sting of inflation.
Coffee, oh my gosh, coffee. This I paid $14.99 for this. It's the cheapest one. This used to be like I swear less than a year ago, $8.99.
Rising grocery bills taking a bite out of the budget.
You know, some things I don't buy anymore because of the fact that they charge too much.
And while in January, inflation appeared to be under control, in February it jumped higher than expected, and some items up substantially compared to a year ago. Average rent up nearly 6%, car insurance up 7.5%, and mortgage interest costs up 9%. And in a recent survey of Canadians, 67% said the cost of living is a top issue facing the country. With the head of the Bank of Canada recently warning a trade war with the U.S. could lead to higher inflation. David Craig's been stockpiling some food items just in case.
I think prices will definitely go up, yes. So I'm prepared for that.
Both the Liberals and Conservatives promising income tax cuts to help. The NDP is also proposing several tax breaks. Diane Sawazo is a mother of two who also runs a food and travel blog called The Flying Couponer. She says lower taxes would help, but also wonders if price limits could be imposed on consumer items.
I think that traveling is a little bit more expensive now. The price of utilities is going up. The mortgage is going up.
All of the parties are now waiting for the next major data point, the inflation reading for March. It'll be released April 15th, just 2 weeks before the election, and it could be an influential number. John Venevali-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Still ahead, when the cure may be worse than the illness. Why a plan to reduce wait times in Alberta seems to have had the opposite effect. In Alberta, a new report is suggesting that the province's outsourcing of surgeries to private facilities is actually increasing wait times. This comes in the midst of allegations of political interference and conflicts of interest with Alberta's surgical procurement practices. CTV's Kathy Lee now with all the pain it's causing for patients.
Simple tasks not so simple for Jane Chapman.
Just so painful.
The pain from her hip. It gave out 2 years ago, and she's still waiting for an operation.
I've had to wait for surgery long enough that it's affected other areas of my body.
5 years ago, the province launched an initiative to reduce wait times and to increase the number of surgeries by outsourcing to private facilities paid for by public funds. But a new study suggests since then, wait times in Alberta public hospitals have increased.
We're making it harder for people to get those surgeries in a timely manner because the workforce is being shifted over to these private for-profit facilities.
The study from the nonpartisan Parkland Institute based at the University of Alberta also shows the cost for private surgery is more expensive than in a public hospital, and public spending on private facilities outpaced spending on public operating rooms. The findings come in the midst of an RCMP investigation after the former head of the province's health authority alleged government interference by forcing overpriced surgical contracts for private companies.
This report very clearly shows that we should be looking into those allegations with a full public inquiry.
In a statement, the health minister's office says publicly funded private surgical facilities has played a key role in reducing wait times and improving patient care. At least for Chapman, she hasn't experienced that. After a long wait and finally some luck, she's secured a surgery date outside of Calgary.
I had 3 doctors from Calgary write notes to the surgeon in Medicine Hat recommending that I have this operation sooner rather than later.
So that she can get back to normal life. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
Still ahead, kicking off a condiment craze. How a small business has the power of social media to thank for a new lease on life. Bracing for the impacts of a trade war, many Canadian companies are trying to get creative by using social media to drum up support. CTV's Kamal Karamali takes you to one Ontario business that's received an overwhelming response from customers looking to show off their Canadian pride.
Believe it or not, it was only a couple of weeks ago this small sauce and condiments company just outside Toronto was on the verge of going out of business.
Oh, he needs 2.
Now it's busier than ever.
These are the very popular ones.
Orders pouring in faster than owner Chanel Williams and her daughter Eliza can send boxes out.
But the secret ingredient to their most recent success isn't even in this jar. It's here, online, where social media has taken their sales to new heights.
Online store has gone up 6,000%. Things had gone crazy, and things have gotten so much crazier since.
When both Canada and the U.S. decided to put tariffs on imported goods, it included ingredients Chanel needs to make her products. There were fears she would have to pack up her sauces for good. So they decided to ask for help online, posting on a Reddit page called Buy Canadian. Overnight, the post blew up, with nearly 2 million impressions and thousands of shares, not just on Reddit, but on Facebook and Instagram as well. Now flooded with orders from around the country.
They came on the comments saying, keep it up. We love your product. And that made me feel I can't give up. I have to fight.
The trade war leaving many local businesses looking for more Canadian consumers.
You've got quite a movement happening in Canada right now, and there's a lot of Canadians that are very interested.
Canadians are responding, but not every business can go viral.
The trick is be yourself, be authentic, communicate with your local community, and stay on brand.
The thank you note.
For this family, it's an outpouring of gratitude, not only for their hundreds of new customers,
thank you,
but also for each other.
I couldn't have done without you.
Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Pickering, Ontario.
That is our newscast for this Saturday night. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching. I'm Heather Butts. Good night, and I'll see you again tomorrow.